Hello friends, welcome to my another session of job analysis. In my previous lecture, I discussed the concept of job analysis, what is the meaning of job analysis, or what is the process of collection of the data, or how we can collect the data, what are the things to be collected. Now in this lecture, I will be discussing things related with the different parts of the job analysis. Now basically when we talk about job analysis, there are two components of job analysis. The most important one, they are actually the job description and job specification. So in my last lecture also I had given you the view of job description and job specification in a nutshell, but in this lecture I will be delving deep down and telling you more about the job description and job specification. So once we talk about the job description in a nutshell, as we discussed earlier also, that in the case of job description it is nothing but it's just deciding about the duties and the responsibilities and the accountabilities of a job. Whereas job specification, very simple concept, it talks about that the minimum criteria that one should qualify to be eligible for that particular job. For example, if you want to be a doctor, naturally you need to have an MBBS degree. If you want to be a software engineer, naturally you need to have something in computer science or maybe in technical knowledge should be there, or technical knowledge should be there. For example, if you want to be an advocate, so naturally the minimum criteria is that one should have that LLB degree to their credit. So these are the minimum criteria that one has to do it. So but minimum criteria is not only related with the education, there are other parameters also. For example, there can be anything which can be related with the emotional quotient, something related with the analysis part, something related with the behavior part, something related with their physical position also. So once we talk about this job analysis, as you can see on the screen also, that job description and job specification. In the case of job description, we talk about the duties, the responsibilities, the relationship, the working condition, the geographical location. When we talk about the job specification, it talks about the job title, minimum set of qualification, anything related with the experience, maturity, cultural synthesis, attributes, etc. Now this is a chart again which has been taken from my own book, that is book on human resource management by Dr. Rakhi. So here on this chart you can see that there are different contents of job description. So more or less I am sure by this time you must be well aware about the word job analysis. Job analysis has two parts, job description and job specification. And job description is basically deciding about the contents of the job, right? So in the case of job description, following other things that one should be well aware. It seems easy, but once it really comes to the practical aspect, it becomes very difficult, because there are so many job profiles, there are so many departments, so many hierarchies, so many lot of complex structure is there. So one has to be very, very careful. So the first thing that you can see on the screen is the contents of the job description is job identification. For example, one should be aware that if a person joins a job, what will be the employee number, the name, location, position, department, division. So if a person is recruited in a leather factory, so if anyone is being recruited in a leather factory, the person should know that which department, which division he is being recruited for. And in case if he is being recruited, supposing if there are 4 in factories of the same company, the person should know for which factory he is being recruited, for which location he is being located. So that is only known as the job description. These are the contents of the job that one should know. Then again about the job summary, again the title, location, job number, grade, etc. The job duties and the responsibilities, supervision specification, whether the supervision given or received, this is a very, very important point. So anybody who is coming and joining the company, the person should be well aware that okay, the person has to work under somebody or he himself is going to be the boss. So that should be very much clear in the mind of the people, because people start behaving differently once they know that if they have to work under someone else, or they are working, or they will be the independent, or they will be the boss themselves. So ideally in the case of job description, we deal with the duties and responsibilities, the job title, the location, the departments, the divisions, then something which is related with your supervision. Then as you can see on the screen is mentioned about the machines and tools and materials. So of course it is very important that one should know that okay, what kind of machinery I am supposed to work. Am I supposed to work in the assembly line? Am I supposed to work with the light machinery, or am I supposed to work with heavy machinery? That must be very much clear, because people, they know that if they are working with very heavy machinery, the risk factor is going to be very high. So once the risk factor is going to be high, the company also knows that what kind of protection has to be given to the employees. So that I discussed in my previous lecture also, that one of the objectives of job analysis is to find out what kind of protection has to be given. So it is only possible that once we have prepared a list, that whether the person has to work with heavy machinery or the one has to work with the light machinery. Then we talk about the working condition and the posture. One has to be very, very clear that whether the person has to work in the morning hours, evening hours, one has to stand or hang, walking, or indoor work. For example, if I say that, okay, the person, we are looking for a cleaner. So the cleaner could be a person who is supposed to clean the office, sweeping and mopping. But my motive was that the person has to hang outside the building and he has to clean the glass. So these are two different things. So that is why things have to be quite segregated, that in case if you are looking for a cleaner, it would be the person has to hang outside the building and he has to clean the building. So that kind of anybody who is hanging outside will be exposed to more risk as compared to the one who is cleaning the office inside. Then the work hazards, risk associated with the job, as I just discussed with you, a person who is hanging outside the building and cleaning. Then related to the physical measure, eyesight, moisture, heat, humidity, acid, dust, noise or sound. One has to be very clear in which kind of environment the work has to be done. So if anyone is working in the area where there are, one has to work within the area where there are acids, so there can be fumes. So once there are fumes, there would be more risk exposed to the person. Then there can be some kind of definition of the unusual terms or the terminology related to that particular task. The people, they should be well aware about that. Then the nature of instructions or procedure or standards to be followed. People, they should know what standards to be followed, or which are the policies that have to be taken into cognizance while performing a particular task. What are the steps which has to be taken. Then it talks about the nature of the intensity of physical work, duration of physical effort. Now, as I told you, once we were discussing about the objectives of job analysis, there we also discussed something related with job evaluation. So job evaluation is what? It's nothing but deciding the worth of a job in terms of money. So if a person is exposed to physical environment, or a person is working in very hazardous areas or environment, naturally the person should get more money as compared to the ones who are sitting inside the AC offices. So how do we decide upon the condition? It is only with the help of job analysis, and job description gives us the exact locations, okay, which are the areas a person has to perform, and the risk factors or the hazardous area where the person will be exposed to. Then one has to be very clear whether I am supposed to stand and perform a job, whether I am supposed to lie down and perform the job, whether the person will be in the morning shift, evening shift, or night shift, or second shift. So if the person is performing a task in the second shift, so naturally his sleep cycle would be getting affected. So once his sleep cycle is getting affected, his mental health and physical health may be getting deteriorated. So all those things, they have to be taken into consideration once we talk about the job description. Then we talk about the location, the reporting, the operational and the managerial, and the principal duties, what, why and how. So if a person has been recruited for one particular task, all those things will be very clear. For example, if I am recruiting a person for marketing manager, so I know that if a marketing manager is there, what would be the duties and the responsibilities, where he will be working. Naturally, the person has to be outside the department and has to go down and fetch the customers and sell the products. So we know that the person has to work outside. The person cannot sit inside the AC room and work all the time. But on the other hand side, if I talk about the software engineer, we know that there is no work of the software engineer outside the office. The software engineer is going to sit inside the AC office and he is going to work. So such are the duties and the responsibilities that have to be shouldered. So we come to know what kind of physical effort would be exerted by the people who will be dealing it. Then the second most important part of any job analysis is job specification. So as you can see on the screen also, that job specification is nothing but it's just the criteria that has to be fulfilled by the person to be eligible for that particular job. When I talk about the eligibility, it is not only the qualification. but there are other things also related with job specification. Let's have a look at them. So, if you see on the screen, it talks about the education. Definitely, as I have already given you the example, that if a person is a advocate, so naturally the person should be a law graduate. Then, for example, demographic factors, for example, it could be anything related with your age, height, structure. For example, if a person is being recruited for Indian Army, then the structure, qualification, the structural part of the person will be quite different. So, demographically, we can actually segregate. For example, there can be certain jobs which are for females. There are certain jobs which are exclusively for male. So, once you have seen those advertisements in the newspaper or in magazines, it specifies only females can apply, only males can apply. So, that is what is job specification, is that okay, these are the demographic factors that they are looking for. Then KSA, knowledge, skills and abilities, I have been discussing about them since my first video. So, knowledge, skills and abilities, which kind of knowledge person should have, what kind of skill set person should have, in case if there is any skill gap, then how the company is going to work on it, and then of course anything which is related with the experience part. Now, if any novice person comes into the organization, then the company knows that okay, lot of money has to be spent on their training part. So, naturally people will be avoiding such people who are novice, but there are certain positions where where the company says okay, from 0 to 2, people having 0 to 2 experience can apply for the job. So, that is just the criteria that I have said. For example, they may say that okay, if an organization is looking for a director, the person should have minimum experience of 10 years. So, that is the criteria that has been said, that a person less than 10 years will not be eligible for the director position. Then anything related with the training, anything related with the judgment. Now, judgment, it can be related with your skills, anything which there are people who have got very strong decision making skills, they can analyze the problems. For example, if the person has to take a decision, there can be number of alternatives which have to be evaluated. So, in the case of a number of alternatives, the person should have that kind of judgment skill, that okay, which alternative is best suited for the current situation. Such kind of things, they have to be taken into cognizance. Then we talk about the physical attribute, height, weight, age, vision and hearing. For example, if anyone is going for Indian Army, so it demands that okay, the person should have a 6/6 eyesight. So, anyone who wears very thick glasses, that person will not be eligible to go for those particular position. So, there can be some height criteria. For example, we have something in the hospitality desk, anyone who's going for a cabin crew job. So, there are specific criteria related with their age, anything related with their weight, anything related with their height, anything which is related with their vision, and so on and so forth. Then another which you can see on the screen is behavioral attribute, anything related with the innovation skills, emotional maturity and responsibility. There are certain jobs which require a person to be very innovative, very creative. For example, if you are going for a designer job, interior decorator job, so there your beauty will not count, but there what will it count? It will count your innovation, how well you can innovate things, how well you can create things, what kind of color combination can you give, what is your creativity. So, different jobs, they have different requirements. So, it is just not the education that is the criteria, but it is also related with the emotional or the behavioral attributes that one has to take into consideration. Then it talks about the qualification, we just discussed that. Then it talks about the professional specification, analytical ability, data interpretation, decision making, etc. For example, if anyone is going for a job of a data analyst. So, if a person is going for a job of data analyst, so naturally the person should be well versed with the data analytics part. So, if a person doesn't have any idea about data analytics, he will not be able to qualify for that particular job. So, these are the requirements for particular job. So, anyone who is supposing going for any mathematical or maybe any kind of survey, for example, for any government survey, if a person is going as a researcher. So, if a person is taking up the job of a researcher, person should have those knowledge, the person should have that kind of analysis part, the person should be well equipped with that analysis part. So, every job has a different requirement. Then it talks about the emotional attributes, working in a team, leadership, compatibility. Though they may not be mentioned in the advertisement, but people expect that these emotional attributes, they should be present in the candidate. So, for example, if there are people who only believe in I, me and myself, so they are the people who will not be able to work in a team. There are people who have very high ego, there are people of different kind of personality traits. So, if you wish to work in any organization, so you need to have that interpersonal skill, good communication, or maybe the capacity to mingle with people or listening. For example, if there is a very shy person, and if a very shy person is applying for a job of a marketing manager, so that is not the job fit. So, if a person is applying for a marketing manager, the person should have very good interpersonal skills, the person should have very good communication skills. So, these are the points, or these are the criteria that one has to fulfill for different job criteria. Let me make it very clear, my dear friends, that it is not necessary for all the jobs you require all these criteria. It all depends upon the job category and the job profile. Then, again, this chart has been taken from my book only, Aspect of Job Description. So, in the case of job description, we have been continuously talking about the job duties and responsibilities and accountabilities. But apart from that, we also discuss things related with the environment, anything which is related with the relationship, anything which is related with the tools and equipments. So, for example, if as I told you earlier, that if anyone is applying for a job, they should be very crystal clear that what kind of job they are going to be performing, what kind of tasks they will be taking. For example, in terms of relationship, in terms of tools and tools, materials to be used. For example, there can be some kind of heavy materials, there can be some kind of light materials. They should know. At times they are using materials which are dry, at times they are using materials which is wet. For example, if a person is being recruited as a washer, for example, the person is supposed to wash cars in a factory or wash bikes in a factory. So, the person knows that okay, the person has to work in water all the time. So, he will not be definitely at that point of time he will not be using very heavy machinery. But on the other hand side, if there are very heavy machinery in the assembly line, then the person knows that okay, the person has to work with heavy machinery. So, these are the various aspects of the job design also. Then as far as the objectives of job description they are concerned, so why do you think that job description is important? We have already discussed about the objectives of job description in the previous videos, because it helps on the recruitment and selection, it helps on the training, it helps us in the job evaluation part, compensation part. But above all, it serves as a stepping stone for the management also and for the employee also. Because the management is very sure okay, that I have given everything which I demand from the person. And the person is also very sure, okay, if I am recruiting for this particular job, I am supposed to deal with all these things. So, above all, in one word, what we can say, that there is something which is known as job clarity. So, once we have the job clarity, things are very crystal clear in the minds of the employees that what they are supposed to do, then definitely they can put in their best efforts. So, let us have a look at the objectives of job description. So, in the case of job description, it says that it helps in grading and classification of the jobs. Now, when we talk about the grading and classification, that basically means that the jobs are being classified. Maybe for example, class 1 level job, class 2 level job, class 3, class 4. And as the job levels are there, we can actually decide their salary. For example, if there are teachers in the government school, there are teachers who will be the primary teachers, then there will be middle school level teachers, then there will be senior school level teachers. So, naturally, anyone who is taking up the classes of 10th and 11th, they would be putting in more efforts because they have to give their board results. So, they will be eligible to get eligible for more money as compared to the ones who are teaching ABC to the kindergarten students. Then it says that it provides a basis for orientation of new employees. So, naturally, if new people are coming, they know that okay, these are the hazards, these are the safety precautions that one has to undertake, this is the location, this would be the weather condition, these are the hazardous area, maybe as I just discussed with you that okay, the person has to work in fumes, the person has to work in acid area, or where the temperature is too low or the temperature is too high. It could be anything. So, the person is mentally prepared that okay, if I get selected for a particular job, I am supposed to do all those things. So, definitely it is very essential that people, they know beforehand that in case if I get selected, I don't have to crib over the job. Then it talks about the Then the third one, it helps a manager to make a decision regarding the promotion and transfer of the employee. Then job description helps in developing the work standards and later on helps in performance appraisal. On the basis of the information of the job description, it is much more easy for the managers to counsel the employees and get better performance of work. Job description helps in proper work scheduling. It enables the employees to know the various health and safety precautions that are required to be taken. And it is one of the basis of job evaluation, evaluating the job in terms of money. So, once we have the job description with us, the job standards can be set. This is the standard that we are expecting from particular employee. So, they know, as I told you again, that they know that what kind of clarity they require in their mind. So, they know that, okay, I am supposed to stand and do the job, I am supposed to lie down and do the job, I have to do the job in the morning, I have to do the job in the evening, I will be having 15 days morning shift, maybe 15 days night shift, I have to stand under the sun and do the job, I have to work in an AC environment, no, I have to work under the fumes, I have to work on the moisture. For example, I gave you the example of a washerman. So, naturally, if the washerman is there, he will be working in the very humid conditions where water is there all the time. So, naturally, he may be prone to the different diseases, and at times there is a word which is known as occupational diseases. So, there are people who may get contacted with the occupational diseases also. So, that also has to be kept in mind. So, with the help of job description, we can always set the standards. Then, on the basis of the information of job description, it is easy for the managers to counsel the employees. Now, we know that a person has to work in a particular environment. So, once the person has to work in a particular environment, there may be people who may not be ready to work in that environment. So, there may be people who may not be ready to work in that environment. So, if people are aware, the counseling sessions can be done to people. At times, people become afraid once they have been recruited, and once they feel afraid, no, I will not be able to do that task. So, in that case, the counseling becomes more important from the part of the managers or maybe from the part of the HR executives. Then it talks about in the proper scheduling. The schedules can be well maintained. We can actually chalk out. If you all remember, my dear friends, we had discussed something which is known as the functions of HRM. And in the case of functions of HRM, they were managerial and operative functions, if you remember. In the case of managerial functions, we had talked something related with planning, organizing, staffing, directing and controlling. There when we talked about organizing, so organizing is basically creation of the structure. So, how do we create that structure? It is again on the basis of the duties and the responsibilities and the accountabilities, and of course, on the basis of the experience level that people, the hierarchy is actually created. So, job analysis also helps us that particular job has to be performed by whom. For example, in an organization, there are 3 levels: top, middle and bottom. So, it is the top management who will be doing all the part of the planning, strategic planning. Then the middle level people, they will be the ones who will be following the policies and the guidelines, and the bottom level people, they have the responsibility of implementation of those policies and the procedures. So, we have to understand that for which level are we creating the job analysis or job description. Job description is a part of job analysis. I will just reiterate that job analysis has got 2 important parts. One is job description and one is job specification. Again, when we talk about the description, it is more or less related with the things like duties and responsibilities, accountabilities, tools, supervision, materials, so on and so forth. So, once we have identified that what are the duties that one has to undertake, the scheduling part can be done well. So, work scheduling will be as per the level. So, if there is a middle level management, his work schedule will be different. Anyone who is in the bottom level, the work schedule will be different. Then it talks about it enables the employee to know about the various health and safety precautions. As I told you, it helps job analysis or job description helps us to unlayer the hazardous conditions which a person will be exposed to. So, once we have identified the risk factors or the risk area, then the precautions can be taken. We can always tell people that no, you are going under such a risky areas, then you have to have that kind of personal protection equipment with you. And lastly, it is said it is one of the basis for job evaluation. Again, on the basis of the kind of task you are undertaking, the kind of risk you are exposed to, the kind of physical effort that you are going to exert or the kind of mental effort that you are going to exert, the salary part will be decided. And of course, salary is something for which everyone works. So, whether it is wages or whether it is salary, everyone has to work in an organization. So when we talk about this job description, it's a very, very important part of the entire job analysis part, because this is something which tells us what all things have to be performed by the people. Then on the another screen, you can see that what are the features of a good job description and specification. As we know, in the initial stages only I told you that the decision making is one of the important attribute of a manager, and a good decision can only be taken on the basis of the correct and right information. So one of the most important feature of job description is that the information should be quite accurate and up to date. There should be a comprehensive job summary which can be easily understood by the people. They know that what are the job requirements, who are the people to whom they are going to report to. If you all remember, I discussed something related with placement and orientation also. So it is on the basis of the job analysis or job description, they should know that, okay, if you are being recruited for one particular position, you have to report to Mr. X or Mr. Y, or Mr. Y or Mr. Z will be the reporting manager. So that only comes from the job analysis or the job description part. Then in the case of job description, we have to highlight the degrees of difficulties, opportunities, and the clear picture of the job to be performed by the people. Then, as you can see on the screen also, one of the feature of good job specification is that proper information management on time has to be done. Proper records have to be maintained, harmonious relationships have to be maintained, and we have to ensure that employees comply with the organizational policies, especially safety and environment. As I have been continuously talking about the hazards, because hazards, they can be fatal also. So one has to be very careful that they do not play with those risks. Hence, the covers have to be done, the safety precautions have to be taken into consideration. Above all, the identification is more important. Once we have been able to identify the risk or the hazard, then the efforts can be made how we can minimize any kind of loss or any kind of accident. So it will only come with the help of job analysis. So people at times when we talk about anyone who's, as I have been discussing the example of a firefighter. So anyone who's handicapped or anyone who doesn't have a good eyesight or vision, so those people will not be able to qualify for a firefighter job. But anyone who's good enough, very healthy, very strong, and with good vision and with strong body, emotional quotient is very high, they can face the difficulties. So those are the criteria that are a part of a job specification. And then we talks about the proper records of inventories, maintain good rapport with employees. Good rapport with the employees is basically the ones which we discussed in the previous slides related with the emotional attributes, that okay, the people they should be innovative, people should be creative, they should have that team building or team spirit, or they should have good interpersonal skills, they should be able to liaison with people, they should not be egoistic people, but they should be able to work as a team. So following are basically the features of good job description and job specification. So in a nutshell, we know that job analysis is nothing but it only talks about the job description and job specification. Job description, it talks about the duties and the responsibilities and the accountabilities of the person who is going to perform a job, and other intricacies related with the job title, job summary, anything related with the tools and equipment, supervision, materials, hazardous things, etc. Whereas in the case of a job specification, we know that job specification is the minimum criteria that one has to fulfill to be eligible for a particular job, and it is not only related with the education or the professional education, but apart from that, it could be related with the skills, anything related with the emotional attribute, physical attributes, so on and so forth. So I am sure by this time, if anybody asks you anything about job analysis, so you are able to answer in just few seconds. So thank you so much for your patient hearing. That's all for today. We shall catch up with the next lecture next time. Stay tuned and thank you.